truth. No whammy, no whammy. All right. Hooray us. Cool. We're good. All right. View, calendar view. Perfect. Okay. Hi, everybody. How are all of you?
Excellent.
Living the dream. Jen and Rick both send their regrets. Just by the way, at 6:07, the meeting to order. So that's the time. All right. So again, I think we're starting to get back into the stream of things in terms of just doing updates and getting going. I will still put out a plea that we need a treasurer, and also ideally I'd love to have a fundraising chair. Jen Oser was kind enough to provide me with a contact for somebody to look over some of the marketing materials. So they're going to do that, and then I'll circulate them out. But realistically, I could use some help in some of those areas, somebody to help kind of drive it forward. So if either you or someone you know is available to help and is willing to help take some of that on, let me know. I'm happy to turn the keys over to what I got. If you haven't seen the website, we can take a look at it a little bit later on in this meeting. There have been some updates to it. The last piece is just plugging in the PayPal element to ensure that it actually puts money where it's supposed to. That's always a good thing, right? I'm testing it like $5 at a time, and I think I'm probably either donating to the town or just paying myself and losing processing fees, but we'll figure it out. Cool. So right now for roll call, we seem to have Catherine, Josh, Dan, Chris, and myself. Jen sends her regrets, Rick sends his regrets, and Adam said he would chime at about 6:15. I'm not sure what's going on with others, but I'm sure they will chime in if they're able to. So with that said, I'm going to share the meeting minutes here. There we go. Can everybody see my screen? Hopefully. Yep. And Catherine, thank you for going through and doing these. Kind of looking through. Yep. And this is a reiteration of what I just said. We need somebody to take on lead on fundraising and marketing. Site survey. This I'll touch on it in a little bit, but can I entertain a motion to accept the minutes? It's written. Who's it? Josh, can I get you to make a motion because you were at the meeting?
Motion to accept the minutes.
All right, I will second. And I'll that we're there. So can we do that by Robert's rules? Or do we have to table it until the next meeting?
I don't know.
All right. Well, let's make a note here that I'll do a check to determine if we can validate those and post them, or if we have to delay. And I will get back. So if we are able to do it with what we have, we can show that it passed. If not, I will add them to the next meeting, and I'll check that tonight and let you know, Catherine. I'll talk to Mike Burke, who is the keeper of all things Robert's rules. It's very helpful. Cool. All right. I'm just going to kind of run through a couple of these, and please chime in if people have thoughts, questions, comments. Site survey, we've come up with what we voted on. It's going to go hopefully in front of the town council on April 12th. Part of what I want to do is just make sure we have a little bit of funding in the bank, because the town council already very kindly signed off on a big chunk of change. I'd like them to know that we're starting to put some money forward before we go back and ask for more money. If anybody wants to updated budget against how we're doing on this, I'll be happy to share. Essentially, thanks to some negotiating by Josh and the work with Compan, we actually have a lower cost for the playground equipment than we had budgeted. However, the installation costs are higher than we were anticipating. Probably will come closer to being a wash, but we are trying to look at how do we account for some of those installation costs. And this is an area where we looked at what could we potentially contribute in kind and use the DPW to assist with. So Josh is going to be connecting with Compan and looping in Rick Rogers to figure out what can we do that won't violate our warranty, and what can we bring the cost down on. One particular example, and I don't want to steal his thunder for when he gets on with Adam, is we've been looking at the engineered wood fiber, which is, I think it's about a $10,000 cost for just the product, not counting the installation, which is, I mean, it's mulch essentially, just very engineered mulch, I guess. So we're gonna engineered mulch. So I think we can get a volunteer work party to account for putting some of that in, and try to reduce the costs. Josh, am I missing anything on that?
No.
So Stu, what is the budget shortfall for the second part of the project? Is that what that's what the fundraising would be for?
Yeah, so that would be for part of it. We're also going to have to look at, I will say that because pickleball is coming in at a higher number, we're putting some of the funding more towards this part of it, and then we're going to have to fundraise to account for essentially tearing out pickleball and redoing it. We were planning on just recoding it and putting lines on it. So that one's going to be a much bigger deal than we were anticipating. So originally we'd slated to have to fundraise about 60,000. I think we're looking at probably closer to having to raise 100 to 110,000 by the time we're done to account for that. It may be a little bit higher when we get the final number for pickleball. I will offer that there has been a lot of scuttlebutt from people that have said they're willing to help contribute to that once we sort of hit the ground running. So I'm still very positive and optimistic. And it's also a 3-year grant. So this doesn't have to all be done overnight. But in terms of looking at the contract, engineered wood fiber is $8,650.37. The install on that is $7,661.33. And the transport of it is $1,700. So, we're talking $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 just in transport of engineered wood fiber and the install, which I think we can reduce that price from it. Josh was also looking at concrete. I know that was looking at potentially trying to find somebody to help us in that space. So there are a lot of areas where I think when we signed it, when we discussed it with Compan, we did look at how we could reduce some of those costs by handling things directly. We're on track, I think, is the key here. Got a ways to go. All right. So on the site survey, that's going to get put in front of the town council on April 12th. Site prep, just so people know what the dates are at, on 4/26, the materials will be shipped from Compan's Pennsylvania location up this way. And their tentative delivery date on site is May 4th. That's when they're expecting to have it at Town Farm. In speaking with Rick Rogers, he's going to look at trying to put a clearing to clear out all of the space and prep the area for Town Farm over the next 2 to 3 weeks so that we're in advance of when the stuff arrives. And I did say, Josh, we needed to connect with him based on exactly what clearing looked like, how far down we had to go, but essentially anything that was a piece of equipment's got to get out of there. So I had included with this particular meeting the site survey. I think not site survey. What's the word I'm looking for, Josh? What was that document that Compan sent us?
Plan. So it's essentially like a layout plan.
Thank you. Pull it up real quick here. So this is just off of Google, so it looks kind of weird, but it shows where everything fits, and then it gives the footing plans for everything, so it should help give us a guideline on what we're doing.
Correct. And I'll reach out to Connor for footing depths, because obviously we want to make sure there's nothing below these that will, impact installation.
When all said and done, this thing's going to be about 30 feet high, by the way.
It's cool.
That'll be pretty awesome. I'm learning a lot about playgrounds. I do not have a timeline for groundbreaking ceremony yet. A lot of this, I think we're trying to figure out logistically how that's going to work, and I need to invite the town council. So I will try to put out a doodle poll probably in the next week to set a date. We have a call with Compan a week from Monday, I think, if that's right, Josh. So I'd like to figure out, and it's going to be completely ceremonial. We'll do some photos. I'll get one of those shiny gold shovels that's way too expensive. It won't come out of the budget, I promise. And if anybody else would like to come grab a shiny gold shovel, I'm sure we can work. All right. So I am doing all of the talking here, so I'm just going to pause for a second. Are there any comments, questions, thoughts before we proceed? Okay. Anything that comes up that we haven't thought of so far? Cool. So if you haven't seen it, this gets into the fundraising and marketing timeline discussion. So within here, this is the website that we're using, and about the project, I added a bunch of stuff in. If anybody was watching on Facebook, there was a conversation from somebody earlier this week about, hey, what's going on with the playground at Town Farm? So I shared a couple of renderings. If you're interested, this talks about the 4 stages of the project. Again, indicating will be done by July 4th. And it gives just sort of the real basic overview of what we're trying to do in each of the phases. I've also put in here, for example, with the playground, and I need to thank Compan because I took a lot of their stuff, shows where it is up at the top. The ADA evaluations, you can link to them here so people can see if they're curious. The why about what we're doing, and then down under site renderings, in here it shows it, but if somebody clicks on it and goes through, there's a description of each of the areas. And what I've tried to do in this is also set it up so that the descriptions from Compan's website list what correlates to the pieces in here. So this will describe sort of the value of it from a social, environmental, physical, cognitive, the tangible elements of it. This physically explains what it is on the right-hand side. And so we've been able to put a bunch of cool things in here, including the video. Like, my kids always manage to get stuck in those. I don't quite know why. But
Gonna show them how it's done, Stu.
I'll wait for the zip line. So the moral of the story here is I did this for the playground. I did it for the outdoor fitness area. This is where we're going to start beginning to direct everybody to. Again, you've got the site renderings down here, and I just threw in a quote. I would love extra sets of eyes on this. There's always a possibility that I've made a mistake in terms of how I've written something. In the next 48 hours, I'm going to drop donate buttons in. I am trying to set it up, and this is something Josh and I talked about, so that there will be a list of all of the items that we need in a particular area, and then you can hit donate and put in that particular amount, and it will correlate to it, and we can mark off who's paying for what. I have letters that say, thank you for your donation. And I also have a letter that we're going to use that's just a blanket, I would like to contribute this in case somebody doesn't want to donate online through PayPal. But my intent here is to make it as easy as possible for people to give. I will also, in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks, have a big sign made up to put at Town Farm to promote. If there's any other places that people think we should be putting signs with this URL and then like a QR code to donate, please let me know. And we did early on discuss people to donate to. I would encourage all of us to review that document and think about who you could ask, both from a corporate sponsorship standpoint and also from a individual context standpoint. So, Chris, I'm curious, you've been involved with this for a long time in some of the other events and things that we've done. How have you guys approached fundraising previously?
Fundraising, the best way I think we should be doing that is kind of getting, obviously the website's a good first start. And you really kind of go door to door with some people who might be interested, some different neighborhoods. And I think everybody who's on this call probably knows people they can call on, $100, $200, and every once in a while, somebody's going to throw in a little bit more money. We tried doing the bricks, and that took a long time to get, set up, and we really didn't raise a lot. We also did an actual barbecue, giveaway, fun day, and we kind of broke even on it when we were all done by the time we set everybody up and everybody's hours. So really the best thing is to try to get the private donors on board. And I think that a lot of people in Tiverton really will get on board with this because everybody knows Town Farm. They know how much that's used. It's such a center point. I think it's going to be a little bit of a grassroots thing to get out there and get the right people. On the corporate and business side, it's kind of the same. You've got to, if you know somebody who can help or that wants to donate, you just got to almost encourage people to like word of mouth to go and try to do some fundraising. Mm-hmm. Ideally, we get somebody who's got a lot of time to go out and just kind of run around and chase these things down. I have a short list that I would make calls on personally. A few businesses as well as some individuals because I've been contacting through this whole thing too. We did our project. It got down to the end and we got donations from a few people on materials like Josh was talking about. We had a concrete guy. We had a guy for rebar, and then some other material showed up magically. And we even had somebody donate some hotel space because we had a construction crew that worked for a month.
Cool. While you were talking, because you were talking about the pavers, this is something that we're going to do, and Jen Oser is going to take point on this one. We talked about before. So I think it's, and if you can see my arrows in here, I think, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but the three places we'd look at putting pavers are along here and then the two walkways. Is that maybe where we would think about putting them?
That's correct.
Okay. So what would be the bridge between the playground and the parking lot would be one big area. Jen did all the legwork on getting the info. So as soon as we're able to sort out exactly how much space we have, give or take a little bit, we'll start pushing that out. And I think it'll work really well in conjunction with maybe the PTOs and some of the schools. I can see parents, grandparents, a couple $100 for a brick, and it could go a long way. So
the other thing, are they going to be doing any little leagues? They haven't sign-ups or the soccer, because we could put a tent up there and then everybody's there and, get somebody, volunteer for a day. I'd be happy to go up there and do that. Because we did the Pardon Gray days. We sat over at Bulgar Marsh on weekends. Just getting people publicly aware of what's going on. I think, again, I worked on a skateboard park. We didn't have a ton of interest other than a special group, but I think everybody in town can get behind this. And what I really like about this is, you've got all age groups here, from the young kids all the way up to, the exercise station, which I think is going to be a huge hit.
Yeah, I feel like we're really close. I mean, as much as it's normally better to do fundraising during off seasons, I actually think it's going to be more efficient to do it during the summer in a weird sort of way, because people are finally getting out and the activity side of it. And like, this is the first part of what we're doing and where we can go from here. So, cool.
The other thing we can even consider, other place we could try, is at the farmers market on Tuesdays. Yeah. We set up a tent there. That could be another option.
And then I don't know how familiar you are with social media. I'm not a super whiz at it, but I know at work we've been using all kinds of stuff, Instagram and all that stuff, and it really reaches a pretty wide audience in town. So, maybe like once this thing is actually going, you could really create a little social media buzz, which I think, that brings in people like really quick, and it's instant, it's on the phone. If it links up to the website really easy, help donate, it's pretty cool.
Well, and you bring up an interesting point, because I was thinking about potentially trying to get a college intern to spend some of the summer doing Town Farm, like Instagram and Facebook. And, I don't know that Twitter is going to be necessarily the audience, because ultimately you just want to tell the story and raise money. So it's usually like Instagram and Facebook. But again, a lot of this comes back to just bandwidth and availability. I know this whole group is really busy, because we tried to talk about this with the folks that were on last week, and it's like, we need more blood in here. So I think as a takeaway on this, if you know of anybody that can help with this or that's a good fit to do some of these things, I love them. I'm just kind of hitting a wall myself, especially with the summer camp stuff on the rec side. Cool. Right,
yeah, definitely. I'll be looking.
Awesome. All right. So look for the materials coming out in the next 48 hours with the donate button. I will get some signs done. If anybody knows of a place where a sign should go or live, let me know. We'll get it out there. Adam had thought he was going to be on about 6:15, so I'll steal his thunder for a second and say that he believes he's found somebody to cover the cost of all the engineered wood fiber for the event. So, which is awesome. I don't want to give the name of the organization, the individual, just because I want to wait until he's confirmed it. But we talked this morning, and that's a positive. So
Nice.
yeah, go Adam. Well, pretty cool. First thing I asked him to do, and he came back with a big check. I'm like, nice work, man. So, cool. All right. So again, these meetings seem to be a lot about just updating as to where we are. Is there anything that folks feel like they could take on, or that they can help with, or that there's the ability to drive it forward? Because as much as I love being the one talking on these calls, I really would love to try and figure out how we can divide and conquer more.
I mean, Stu, I'm definitely there to help with the fundraising. Like I said, I've definitely come up with some ideas. I don't know that I could lead it. I think I'm in that same boat with time, with my business, with what's been going on this whole year. We've been a little stressed personnel wise, but I have a group to reach out to, and I would definitely be willing to pound the pavement and work whatever I got to do to get it done, especially once the website's done. I think that'll help get that out. 100%.
All right. Well, for others, if you guys can try to think of potential volunteers we can pull in, we do have some openings. I don't know that there's a limit on how many people we can have on the committee, or even just on working groups. So under certain areas, but I definitely, we need to have at least one more person to help out with the fundraising side of things, to help take point on that. That's going to be big. So cool. All right. Well, we're just about like at 6:28, 6:30. I don't have a heck of a lot else. Anything else you guys can think of? No. All right, cool. Well, let's get a half an hour of our lives back. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right. Could I entertain a motion to adjourn? Got a motion from Chris, and I got a second from Josh. Awesome. Everybody, have a wonderful night.
Thanks, Stu.
Bye, guys.
Thank